Thank you. Um, First of all, I want to thank you for your time and congratulate you on the astonishing movie the new Ant-Man has become. I watched it last Monday. It was very, very good.
Oh, thank you.
Um, what was your favorite scene?
Oh, wow. I have to say, amidst all the sort of insanity that happens in the quantum realm, my favorite scene is a very simple one, and it's the first time that Scott Lang is face to face with Kang the Conqueror in the prison cells in Chronopolis. I like the simplicity of the scene, and also throughout the course of the movie, we've sort of drum rolled Kang, and people have spoken about him or the Conqueror, and so by the time you get to meet him, you know all the backstory and his prior encounter with Janet Van Dyne, and you know the stakes of the movie. And now here they are in real time meeting, and putting Jonathan Majors' Kang the Conqueror energy up against Paul Rudd's Scott Lang energy was always very exciting to us in theory, but to see it actually play out as we were shooting that scene was very exciting.
Yeah, that's where the action really, really starts, of course. Is this the scene you had the most input on as a director?
Was this what? I'm sorry, what was the question?
Is this the scene you had the most input on as a director?
Well, I mean, obviously I had input on every scene, but that was the one I think that I like. I like that when it finally sort of, we've done all the legwork of building up to that moment. I like that we did a scene that was very simple. We even stripped out the music for the most part in that scene and just let those two performers go. And you realize how dire the circumstances are, and that this is not a situation Scott Lang can joke his way out of.
Another question: do you think there's a place, a possibility enough to tell for a fourth Ant-Man movie?
Who knows, what the future holds. I always sort of treated this as a trilogy of movies, right? We had certainly after the first one, we started talking in theory about if we got to make another one, much less two more. We're like, what would that structure be? And when we landed on the story for Quantumania, it felt like a great progression of these characters, where in the first Ant-Man, Scott, he's really playing in the margins, right? He's not even close to being an Avenger. And now that we've reached Quantumania, Ant-Man and Wasp are the first two perhaps unlikely Avengers to be the first to encounter Kang the Conqueror. That struck us as an interesting dynamic.
And what is it that makes Ant-Man such an important person now in the MCU?
I think the thing that resonates with Ant-Man is the fact that he is really the everyman of the MCU, right? He's extremely relatable. He's not a genius scientist. He hasn't really invented anything. He's not a billionaire. He has no superpowers. It's all about that PIM particle technology. And I think the audience always see a lot of themselves in Scott Lang. He reacts many times the way that you or I might react if we found ourselves in the middle of a giant Marvel movie. And I think that's of really great appeal. And I think also it's his resilience as a character, right? Scott Lang, throughout the course of his Marvel evolution, he's dealt with a lot of stuff, right? And he's grown, and his main concern is still to be a good father to his daughter. I think that's also very relatable.
Yeah, he's possibly the one that makes the biggest growth in the from a person to a superhero. Yeah. Is that what you love in Ant-Man?
That's what drew me to Ant-Man in the first place. I mean, I grew up reading all these comics, and I love so many of the Marvel heroes. But Ant-Man to me was sort of the perfect entree into the MCU, because my comedy background is something that served me well with Ant-Man, because there is an inherent absurdity in the comics and in the movies to Ant-Man. He shrinks down and he talks to ants. So you have to sort of play that, but you also have to commit to it and take it seriously, because this is this hero. So that tone I always really liked, and the way that we've been able to expand the tone over 3 movies.
And if there's one MCU superhero you could direct a movie of, which one would it be? Another movie, of course.
Well, it's a very, very good question. Who's left, man? I mean, who's left at this point? I would say it might be a suicide mission, but I think it might be time for a Howard the Duck reboot, a full-on Howard the Duck Marvel feature.
Okay, thanks for your time. Have a nice day.
You too. Thanks.